We are a go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a special 3BG episode. Still Halloweenish. You might be in November, but it's still Halloweenish and stuff. And we got a very special guest here talking to Miss Lady Dimitrescu herself, Miss Maggie Robertson. How's it going?
Thank you. It's going really well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited
It's,
to be here.
it's all good. I so what? Okay, I guess first and foremost, before we go deep into Resident Evil, just
Okay.
all that. What kind of got you into this trajectory of doing voice acting? Like,
LOL, Resident Evil. Um,
There you go.
so there you have it. We're going to launch right into Resident Evil. You were trying to postpone it, but
I
no,
was
no,
trying
no.
to.
We're going to start now. um, no, I had been an actor for quite some time. My background is in theater, so I was doing work in the DC regional theater scene because that's where I'm from. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go off and do this little thing called grad school. And I went off to grad school at Lambda, so I got a master's degree in classical acting, just lots and lots of Shakespeare.
Mhm.
And then from there, I moved to Los Angeles right after graduation in 2019. And then I booked Resident Evil within a few months of me moving to LA. So it's this really surreal, I guess, Hollywood story, which feels very weird to say because, that stuff happens to other people. It doesn't happen to you. You know that it could happen, but you never believe that you're going to be the one that's the exception to the rule. And yet here I am, kind of the exception to the rule. I moved to LA and I just happened to book the role of a lifetime. So it's kind of surreal. And yeah, I mean, for me, the voice has always been kind of the cornerstone of what I've been working off of. I started off as a singer first, so I trained classically there too. So it's not really a surprise in hindsight that I found my way into voiceover.
Mhm.
I think I would have found my way there eventually, regardless of whether or not Resident Evil came into being. But it was really just this perfect alignment of the stars I felt to land the role and to be working and doing performance capture, which is very akin to theater and black box theater. So it just felt like a really natural sidestep from everything that I had been doing up until that point and allowed me to take off. And now since Resident Evil, I've really pivoted my career to be focused on voiceover and to be focused on performance capture. It was really surreal to be in the volume. I found that was the lightning bolt moment for me of like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Got it. Coming in loud and clear. So that's how I got started.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So, what was your initial reaction when you found out that the character that you were voicing turned overnight into an internet sensation before the game was even out?
Memes and all.
I don't know if there's a way to express in words exactly how that felt. It was so overwhelming and exciting, but also overwhelming because I just had no idea what to expect. Now, all of a sudden, the stakes were high because people already loved her. So then when the game came out, I just hoped that my performance would live up to the expectation that had been set.
Mhm.
But it was really exciting and very strange because also I'm still under NDA. When she was blowing up, when she was going viral on the internet, I was still under NDA and I couldn't tell my mother, I couldn't tell my friends, I couldn't tell
Wow.
anybody about it. So there's just this character that's going viral and I'm like in my room twiddling my thumbs, just like stewing and being creepy on the internet and like following all of the news about her and just nobody knows who I am. So that was kind of fun. But I was very grateful to have the other cast members of Resident Evil there to help kind of guide me through and be like, oh, this is so exciting. So at least I had them to chat with about it and to geek out about it. And yeah, it was very, very surreal.
Like before they actually like showed the trailer and stuff at E3 and in the previews and such, did you like when they gave you the script for the character, did you expect that character to be as grandiose as like you're reading it, or was it just kind of like, oh, she's a character and it was just that?
Ooh, good question.
Like, did you see the character's design before you did the voice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was able to, well, not when I went into the audition. So I think pretty much the general character of Lady D is what I brought with me into my initial audition. And then obviously little pieces of it got tailored once I had all of the information in front of me. So I don't think I saw an image of the character maybe until our initial table read. But what I loved about it is that it just deepened what I already felt to be true about her based on the text, because the language that she uses, and this is really a shout out to Anthony Johnston, who's the writer for Lady D. He did a great job of employing language and utilizing language as a weapon,
Hmm.
another tool in her arsenal that she uses to lash out and to inflict damage upon everyone around her. So for me, coming from a Shakespeare background, that was so juicy and so lovely to be able to sink my teeth into, and already painted such a picture of who the character was and could be. I think for me, a lot of my inspiration came from these very Shakespearean character archetypes, where you have queens and people who are living in really heightened extremes and using really heightened language and operating within life and death scenarios, and the stakes are really high. So I pulled a lot of inspiration from that. And then once I was able to see the character image, it just opened up the rest of it. Because what I love about Capcom's design, and listen, I've said this in interviews before, but I think it's really interesting. But so I'm a big Star Wars nerd as well.
Mhm.
And I watched the Mandalorian behind the scenes documentary about how they made that show. And I think it's Bryce Dallas Howard, who talks about how Star Wars, George Lucas is iconic for creating characters that have a silhouette, where even if you see them from a distance, you know who the character is because they have
Mhm.
such a distinct physical form. And I
Right.
think the same is true with Lady D. You see her, and already she just oozes character.
Mhm.
And so they made my job really easy,
Mm.
really. And I just had to say the lines and do the dude. But certainly the character's physical image inspired me a lot. She's very curvy. She has an elegant dress on. She's got the gloves. She's got the long cigarette, and the sloping brim of her hat. So all of that inspired me to investigate um, curves in my movement pattern. And nothing that she does happens in a straight line. She's always kind of winding her way to where
Yeah.
she needs to be, as
Mhm.
opposed to, moving directly there, because she has the highest status in the room. She has the power. So she knows that she can take her time to do anything and people will wait. So that was all very fun to play with. And in the volume itself, what I had to work around was, because she is 9'6", she carries a lot more weight on her physical frame than
Mhm.
your average human. So I had to think again about, what is the physical movement profile that I'm creating for this character? If I were to walk with my normal step, then she would feel off in comparison to the other characters in the
Yeah.
room. So I had to very consciously slow down my movements and add a lot more weight to my movements to create the physical profile for Lady D.
Okay, so I guess that leads into my next question. I really didn't get a chance to look into, I guess, like the full uh, cast and crew, but I've seen it in other video games where the voice actors also did the motion capture. Did you get to do that for Lady D?
Yeah. Yeah, we did the full performance capture. So you can see some of the the scenes footage where we're in the kind of Velcro space
Yep.
suits,
Yeah. Yeah.
space pajamas. And and so that was really the click in moment for me, where the volume, which is the kind of the big open space that we film in for motion capture and for performance capture, has cameras all around, and you have nothing else in the room besides your imagination. We're
Mhm.
working off of Apple boxes. You're wearing a Velcro suit that shows everything. So you can't come into the volume with any sort of ego, because you're going to look weird and you're going to do some silly shit,
Yeah.
and it's going to be amazing. You're going to have a great time. So it's really, for me, doing performance capture was kind of stepping back into the root of why and I imagine so many other people, wanted to become actors in the first place. It's
Mhm.
just about activating your imagination and cultivating this sense of play, where you are imagining a fantastical world and endowing those circumstances as real and allowing yourself to live in a new physical reality. So it was a ton of fun.
Yeah. I mean, so for you, like, the game comes out, everybody's loving Lady D and everything that's there. Like you were saying, you were doing the motion capture. Did they have you also kind of doing movements? Because obviously your character is basically stalking the lead character inside of her castle in different moments. So did they have you doing different movements and different that kind of I guess represent different parts of the castle where you would be moving through, or was that something separate from what you were actually doing?
Good question. I'm trying to remember because for me, this was like 2 years ago. I think, no, more than 2 years ago now. Oh my gosh. 2019 is when we shot that. Whoa,
It
time
feels that
flies.
long. It feels
Yeah.
that long. It
Time
really does.
flies. Oh, I can't even do the math. I'm upset. I'm upset by how long ago that was. I think what I was brought in to do, what I did the performance capture for was the cinematics. So all of the
Okay.
cutscenes that you're watching
Mhm.
versus the in-game stuff. I don't think I did that. They did bring me into the booth to do some additional ADR.
Oh,
All of
okay.
the transformation lines
Mhm.
were done in the ADR booth versus in the
Mhm.
volume.
Mhm.
I think I did some stuff in the volume for the transformation, but most of that was in ADR. Yeah.
Yeah, but also, how does it feel to actually be in that upper pantheon? Because there's been so many talented folks that have voiced characters in Resident Evil, and like for us, prior to Resident Evil Village, it was always what's his face playing Wesker. Like that was a
Yeah.
character.
DC Douglas.
Yeah, DC
Mhm.
Douglas playing
Yeah, DC
Wesker. That
Douglas.
was like tops. Like you were not doing that. So like the fact that out of all the villains in Village, like Lady D ends up being the one. Well, you and Heisenberg, y'all are like the two characters that like ended up
Very much so.
being
Yeah.
like tops and stuff. Like, how does that feel to kind of be up there in terms of like the RE lore villains just being top tier?
I
It
mean,
feels really good and really surreal. I think that this project and this game and this character will always be special to me because it built my career. That's not an exaggeration, and it changed my life in every possible way. So there's no piece of my life that has been untouched by Lady D, and it's really special and it's really moving to have something like that can come into your life and um, make all of these wonderful opportunities happen for you. It's the thing that you always are waiting for when you're an actor, that make or break moment, and this was my make or break moment.
Mhm.
And it's been really exciting to watch my career unfold as a result of it, and exciting to think about, oh, well, where can I go next? Like, what else is down the road? What else is going to happen for me? And obviously to be in the ranks, to be considered within even like I don't know, the same realm as some of these other amazing voice actors is a real honor and a real privilege because I look up to them. Their acting inspires me. So to have reached a point in my career where I can be considered an equal to the voice actors that I know and love and admire is really special and unexpected. I never expected that. I went into the game with the sole intention of just trying not to make a fool of myself.
Yeah.
Uh,
makes sense.
so, all of this is just like a cherry on top.
Yeah.
So now that the new DLC is dropped, did you, I guess, the Capcom reach back out to you to do additional audio lines for the DLC?
Yes, I went back into the ADR booth for the DLC. Didn't get to do any PCAP this time,
Mhm.
but was back in the booth doing some more like crazy. I mean, she's a mercenary, so you just get to see her like scream and yell and throw things. So got to do a lot of that fun stuff.
Nice.
Was that surreal actually seeing your character be in Mercenaries? Because I couldn't. It's like it's one thing to be the lead character in the game and you see Lady Dimitrescu attacking you, but were you expecting them to be like, "Oh yeah, your character's going to be in Mercenaries," so and you're kind of picturing what could she do, like
Yeah, well, I mean, as I said, like my only intention was to like not fall completely flat on my face and make a fool of myself during all this. So the
yeah,
fact that they wanted to bring me back already was like, oh, really? You like me? You really like me? So that was already like check number one of, oh wow, that feels really good. And then I think too, I've gotten to meet the development team on the Capcom side a few times now, and they have such a deep love and appreciation for this character. I think that's one thing that struck me every time I came back into the booth, that everyone was just having so much fun with her. And I think you can see that when you play, where just the little things, they understand her drama and her dramatic flair. And so little things like healing herself by drinking sanguine virginis, throwing chairs as one of her attack formations, which I was so mad. I have a gripe with them because I didn't get to go back and peek at that, and I love to throw things. So I was like, oh, I could have done that. I could have mocapped that. But yeah, little things like that. Or the fact that she has to put on lipstick. She puts on lipstick to increase her thrill meter, which allows her to inflict even more damage upon the player. So these are things that it's just clear that they know her character really well and they're having a lot of fun with it. And so we had a lot of fun with it in the booth and it was just a blast. It was great to be back with them.
Awesome. So I guess my next question would be, did you get to play the game?
I just did. Dun, I just did. We partnered with Capcom. Nicole Tompkins and I partnered with Capcom to host a stream of the DLC on their Twitch channel on the 28th. So this past Friday. And I actually played. I'm not a gamer. I didn't grow up as a gamer, but I was a very avid reader of fantasy and sci-fi. So was living in these crazy worlds all the time and am familiar with the archetypes, but never like learned the motion control of my hands. So that was very challenging. We didn't make it all the way to Lady D in Mercenaries mode, but we did play, I think, as Chris Redfield is the first one. Mm-hmm. And I died many times. I can't say, I don't know if I'm going to become a pro gamer anytime soon, but I had a great time.
Yeah, because you never know. I mean, I've seen a lot of celebrities, especially during the downtime when we were all on lockdown. Suddenly, celebrities are gamers.
Everyone's a Twitch streamer now.
Right.
Everyone's a Twitch streamer.
Yo, how was it, doing your lines with, some of the actresses that were playing your daughters? Because like there are moments, and I thought that was actually a nice detail because most games, if there's a character that's connected to like another character, you kill them in a boss fight. They don't really write it in the sense of like every other character cares, but like you kill each and every of the daughters, like Lady D literally is reacting like, oh my God, just all that. So what was that feeling seeing that?
Well, I love it because it humanizes her. And it's really interesting when you have a villain character that you can empathize with. She's a mom. She had to watch her daughters get viciously murdered by this man who just intruded into her castle. Granted, we took his daughter first, but that's neither here nor there.
Doesn't matter. The details.
You don't take a man's kid.
Well, you don't murder a lady's daughters.
But you took the man's kid. Understand Heisenberg, when Heisenberg put Ethan on that quest while he was handcuffed, you could have stopped the whole thing before it started, but then we would have had no game.
Then we would have had no game. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, in the end, I took one daughter, he took three. So the scale is imbalanced here.
You also took his hand for a second.
He glued it back on. It's fine.
He did.
He lived.
Were you at all shocked at that moment happening? Because that took me by surprise.
I did not know that was happening. So the first time I watched a playthrough, I had the jump scare of like, holy crap! There were multiple jump scares that got me when I first played the game.
How did she get there that quick? Like
I know she's so nimble for being so big.
Like we now have three characters that have to duck under doorways. It's Mr. X, Nemesis, and now Lady D.
Like Lady D is even more creepy because like Mr. X, they're just drones that they're big. But like Lady D, when Ethan is in her room and he opens the door and she just pops up, it's like, whoa.
I saw the hat and I was done.
The hat was so amazing. But also when we're shooting it in the volume, there's like a normal person size door. And then there's a Maggie door that is to scale so that I actually physically had to duck under and come out of it into the space. So that's me, baby. Yeah, so all of that was super fun. Lots of fun moments in the volume because there's so much, video game magic that happens. And then behind the scenes, again, you just look so foolish when you're in the spacesuit and doing things like, I had a half of a hat on attached to my helmet with my face cam, but I couldn't have it go fully all the way around because then it would interfere with the camera.
Yeah, right.
So I had half of a hat. So I look kind of silly when you watch all the behind the scenes footage. You're like, she looks kind of silly. But it looks epic when you do it.
I mean,
So
were you at all shocked seeing the how much attention to detail they were giving you guys during the mocap process? Because I mean, it would seem like in that kind of situation, I'm not saying they would half-ass it, but it would feel like they were kind of like cut corners a little bit just so they can get stuff done. So the attention to detail that you're mentioning, were you at all shocked that they actually kept that up throughout the whole process?
no, I don't think so. I mean, they're incredibly professional, and I think they want it to be the best product that they possibly can make it. And so there were a lot of discussions around, adding the brim of the hat onto my face cam helmet. That was there just to help me. So they were
Mhm.
doing a lot of things that they thought might just assist the actor in being able to realistically portray some detail about the character. So there were a lot of discussions about that
Mhm.
with the actors and with the dev team of how can we help you? How can we
Yeah.
give you what you need in order to realistically portray this situation or this moment in time? So I loved the process of working with Capcom and the entire team. And we had Steve Knieble as our cinematics director, who is incredibly actor forward and allows you to make choices. And then he'll just come in and tweak little details here and there. But it felt very lovely and very collaborative to work with them.
Cool.
Awesome. Uh, any future projects that you are allowed to discuss in the
I
world?
love this question.
But we're
And you
still
already know
NDA.
you already know the allowed to. That's so funny. There's the huge joke of the NDAs within the community of like, yes, I'm in a bunch of stuff that you'll hear about in 2 to 5 years.
I mean, can you say the company?
No. Well, so most recently I have Smite. I play a character in Smite game that
Okay.
just came out.
Okay.
House Phoenix Amaterasu. So she's out. I should have some other ones coming out
Well,
Okay. All
soon.
right.
So keep tuned.
All right.
Stay
Do,
tuned.
will
Stay
do.
tuned.
do you have a franchise that you would love to work with though? It could be video games, it could be movies, it could be cartoons. Like, is there a franchise that you're kind of like really like, I want to be a part of that?
I feel like a broken record, but Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. Come on.
There we
I am an
go.
elf. So yeah, that was probably my favorite nerddom growing up. I love the movies, love the books, have been watching Rings of Power and enjoying it. And yeah, would love to live in that world, would love to be in Middle Earth. But all of the fantasy shows like Game of Thrones, I read those books too, and then I watched the show. I'm an OG. I always read the books.
Yeah.
And then House of the Dragon now I'm loving. So would love to be in that world too. What are there? Oh, Star Wars. Duh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mandalorian. Would have loved to be on the Mandalorian show. They're using game technology. They're working inside of a volume, which creates a really unique opportunity for actors because everything you need is right in front of you. You don't have to imagine any of it now.
Mhm.
It's there. So some of the interviews that I read were so fascinating where they get to talk about what it's like to be fully immersed in Star Wars and to feel like you just stepped onto another planet. You don't have to work across a green screen. You don't have to imagine.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I would love to experience that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess lastly, 'cause we're coming up on this. So you mentioned the whole thing with working inside the volume now. For you, I mean, obviously, I've seen, like I said, like with you, I've seen the behind the scenes stuff with Mandalorian and them working in that. Do you see that as kind of a very future thing that's going to be like really kind of, whether it's gaming, movies, or anything like that? Do you feel that's going to be kind of like the future in terms of filmmaking and making any sort of visual stunning product?
I hope so. I don't know. I'm not an expert on the tech stuff.
Right, just from your perspective of just being involved in that kind of situation and
It
process.
seems like it seems like there's a lot of really cool new innovations that are happening on that set. And everyone that I know that has worked on Mandalorian has just come back raving about it. So I do feel like we will see a lot more things filmed within that style. Are they using it for their other Star Wars shows already? I don't even know.
I think they are, and I think
Are
they've
they?
used it. I think they used it for a couple of the Marvel Studios productions too. I think was it Thor?
Wow.
Yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder used it.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to have to go back and do some research on that. But that's
Yeah,
fascinating. I love it. I hope to see a lot more of it.
yeah. Cool, cool. Well, we appreciate you taking the time out to speak to us because this was you know, my boy Sue, he was excited, like, oh, we get to
Yes.
talk to her. I was like, yes.
Listen, ever since I saw that video of you reading the comments about Lady D, it was a YouTube video.
Oh, the BuzzFeed thirst
Yeah.
Yes, the
Yeah.
BuzzFeed video. I
How
cried
cool is
laughing.
that? Oh my gosh, to have the game come out and to have BuzzFeed reach out to be like, you want to do some thirst tweets?
Yes, the thirst
That's
tweet.
such a bucket
Nobody
list
saw that
item.
coming. Nobody
I
saw
was
that
like,
coming.
are you joking? Is this
That's
real
that's
life? I
why
kept looking around. Is this real? When is the shoe gonna drop?
that's why I said you know I know you had to have been feeling completely overwhelmed when you found out that this character became an overnight sensation and the game wasn't even out yet. Like your character is up there with characters that had to come from like the 90s of Resident Evil games to reach legendary status.
That's
Coming
pretty
out the
quick.
gate before the game is even released, that's rare.
That's
It-
very quick.
Yeah, it's very rare. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like it, either as a consumer, as an audience member, or as an actor. I don't know if I'll ever experience anything to that same degree ever again. I think she's probably a once in a lifetime, and it feels very special and like a privilege to have booked this role and to have received the level of attention that I've received from it, and to have so many doors and so many new opportunities open to me as a result. It is a privilege and it is an honor, and it's not something that I will ever forget or take for granted.
Oh, trust me. Hey, look, I totally understand, because, like you said, it's to have the internet, just from a perspective of somebody that's a celeb, whether they're big or small. It, you know, when you mention that, it is overwhelming. I can definitely understand that, because it's just the way the internet goes. It's just everything just kind of hits you all at once, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I did not.
Oh yeah. That opening weekend was chaos. I mean, I think I probably had a panic attack, but you're going from complete anonymity to being 100% in the spotlight. And it's such a new sensation to get used to, and to feel comfortable in. I think there's a lot of pressure once the spotlight is on you to always do the right thing, to always say the right thing. You always have to be perfect. And that gets exhausting. And so I'm trying to learn how to embrace imperfection and allow my flaws to be seen, as well as my, what's the opposite of flaws? Why can't I think of the word? My non-flaws, my flaws and my non-flaws to
There
be
you go.
seen.
Strong.
But yeah, I mean, more to the point as well, I think when you say to yourself, I want to be an actor, a lot of times, or at least for me, I thought immediately of how my roles and how my characters and the projects that I take on can affect people and
Mhm.
impact the world and create change in the world. But I don't think you stop to think about how you as an individual and as a person can also affect change and impact people across the globe.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things that Resident Evil and Lady Dimitrescu has given me, that it's not just the character that has an impact now. I have a fan base and I have people whose lives I can improve and can help throughout whatever struggles they're going through. And that's been really special as well, to kind of step into that a little bit more and embrace the power that I have to affect change, not just hide behind roles and hide behind characters, but to step into my power and be like, no, I can do this.
Yep.
I have power too. The words that I say matter, and the things that I do can help people improve their lives around the world. And to have Resident Evil as a global franchise, to have that global reach it's just surreal. It's really, really special. So those are things that I never expected to happen out of it. I expected the character to do well. I didn't expect me to pop off in quite the way that I popped off. So that's been a definite privilege as well.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, we
Cool.
thank you for having us on. Is there anything you want to tell the audience as Lady D?
As Lady D?
As Lady D.
Could you
Oh
shout out
my
Free Black
gosh.
Geeks as Lady D?
Sign us out as Lady D. That would be
Okay.
great. That would be great.
Well, play the DLC, or else you'll be sliced to ribbons.
Cool.
She doesn't do the evil laugh afterwards, but I always add it in because why not? When in doubt, add the evil laugh.
Cool.
I feel like I feel like that should have happened after you choke slammed Ethan through the floor of your
That should have
room.
happened. It really should have. I
Hmm.
was like, It's like,
Huh. Hmm.
I mean, they could
Well,
always bring
she
you
has
back
a
to
lot of
ADR
she has
that.
a lot more evil laughs at the end when she's transformed.
Yeah.
Sometimes I listen back to that stuff too, and I'm like, oh my God, was that me? She sounds crazy. Whoever did that is crazy.
Cool. Well, we appreciate you for coming out talking to us, and we will see you guys later. Peace.
Thank you so much.
No problem.